Hello everybody, and welcome to our weekly yoga and functional movement session together. This is a strong physical and mental practice that requires effort, strength, focus and discipline. Regular practice will help you to improve your strength, stamina, stability and suppleness, whilst allowing some much needed space from the busyness of life and all the stress and the tension that we tend to like to hold on to. As always, please remember to keep it safe and only ever work to your own level of ability and experience. And if something doesn't feel right or it's not comfortable for you, then please release immediately or miss it out completely. Remember to stay away from any sharp acute pain, because that is a signal that there's something not right within your physical structure. So work intelligently with good form and alignment. Listen to the instruction and detail as it's said for good reason to help you to get the most out of these shapes that we're forming and to create some conscious awareness of how your body functions in its daily movement patterns and in these shapes that we are creating. So, without further ado, let's begin and have some joy on the mat. Okay, so the first posture that we're going to come into is called Adho Mukha Virasana, which means downward facing kneeling pose. We use this a lot in our yoga practice to release quite soft and passively, but we're starting from the off in a working, active place. So we want to add detail to the posture and be switched on rather than just slopping and dropping into it and releasing. Okay? So the equipment that I'm going to be using today are 2 yoga blocks and a belt. Remember, you could find suitable items that can be used like these, dressing gown belt or a belt of a pair of trousers, or maybe a couple of books. But if you are going to do this practice regularly with me, then invest in some equipment, because you can do so many wonderful things with it, and it can help you to really focus in postures and switch things on that you may otherwise switch off. And plus they help to give you support and keep you safe as well. So we're going to start off sitting back onto our heels. Now, depending on how this area is here, around the back of the knee and the front of the knee joint, depends on where your bottom's going to be. Sometimes I have a little issue within my right knee that's triggered off through an issue in the hip. So to sit on my heels every now and again may not be right for me. So I need to give myself support if that happens. So we're starting with the knees slightly wide of the hips with the big toes together. We're going to take our thumbs, press them into our calf muscles so we can pull them back and out, and sit the buttocks onto the heels. Okay, so the tailbone's moving down and in, and this back area here is broadening out. I'm going to have my equipment close by so I can demonstrate to you some options. So the knees are wide of the pelvis. You don't want to go too wide that you drop in between, but at the same time you don't want those knees tucked together that you can't relax the abdominal region. So the knees just wide to the pelvis. You tend to find your feet will collapse out. So imagine there's a little thread between your ankle bones. So you're pulling your inner ankles together and really working into the front of the ankle joints. I get that this isn't a great position for some of us, especially those that do a lot of sport. So you could use this position of the feet, but have some support in there, like a rolled blanket or a towel, especially if you find you struggle to plant or flex the feet. If your feet are like this, you can fill that space maybe with a rolled large towel or a blanket. So it gives you something to press into, but you're not working too intensely in that area to begin. So taking the feet into this plantar flex position, allowing the sit bones to move towards the heels, the knees are wide, the inner ankles are pulling together. Okay, you got that. If there's a big space when you go forward, and this has to happen, this is where you could use your blocks to pad out that space so you've got something to root the buttocks down to as you bring your head down onto the mat. If it's all happening at the front of the body and you can't get your head down, so you're here and this is happening, again you could use your equipment to secure the forehead onto something. What you don't want to be happening is dropping the neck down like this. Okay, because it just starts to overcurve the spine and you haven't got this lengthening and strengthening action. So, setting ourselves up, remember it's this little space here that we're looking to rest on some support, whether that be the floor or a block, because it has a very quietening effect. This is the third eye, the intuitive center, energy center, and this posture is called child's pose because children do it quite naturally. If they can't sleep or they're busy in the head, they switch off and turn inwards rather than lying there looking upwards. So we want to quieten ourselves down. Okay, so sitting back either onto your blocks, onto your heels, working your hands forward. By the way, this isn't comfortable for you in any shape or form. Maybe just lie on your front and let the back of your head rest on your hands. So as we extend out, spreading through those fingers, connecting from the heel of the thumb to the little finger, lengthening this lower back region, not anterior tilting and slopping and dropping. Okay, fill out this back space here. Keep the inner arms lifting, not the inner, the underside of your arms lifting up away from the ground. And as I lengthen back and move these front ribs forward, I'm going to draw the head down, chin in, and just let it rest. Taking a couple of breaths here, arriving in your pose. The breath is in and out through the nose. Don't hold the breath. If you're struggling to breathe through the nostrils, then maybe breathe through the mouth. Keep the breath flowing. Let your eyes softly open. Just lift the head, look forward to that space in between the hands. Take another breath in. Lengthen the front ribs forward away from the pubic bone. And then see if you can go a little deeper into the pose, walking the hands a little further, drawing back through those shoulder blades. Not forgetting about your feet, your ankle joints, the inner ankles, pressing through the shin bones. Let your eyes close. Let the stomach area feel relaxed. Now inhale, lift the head, look up and forward. Come up onto your hands and knees. Turn the toes. We're lifting into our Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog. Lifting up. Keep the legs bent to begin whilst you lengthen out the spine. Lift the sit bone to the ceiling. Let the head hang. Look how your feet are positioned. Have them pointing forward to the back of the wrists. Feel again that you can still maintain the tailbone moving away from the back of the skull, lengthening and filling out from the thoracic spine to the lower back region. And then if it feels right for you, you can start to straighten those legs and press those heels back and down. Feeling the connection of the front thigh muscles engaged, so the back of the legs can broaden out. Feel the lift from the ankle joint to through the shin bone to the knees, all the way up into the thighs. Soften your elbows if you have a tendency to lock out. Feel the weight distributed evenly between the thumb and the little finger of each hand. And allow the head to hang, just checking where your front ribs are. Keep them encased within the skin and the back ribs fully switched on.
Good. Now lowering the knees, walking the hands back,
And we're going to come up to full standing. So coming into the centre of the mat and joining your feet together. So we're going to line up, if we can, from the big toe backwards. And we're going to feel if it's possible to get our inner heels connected. For some that will not happen. Try not to roll in with the feet and collapse the ankle joints. Keep a little space between the inner ankles. Spread through the toes, press down and out. And then we're going to squeeze in through the inner legs from the inner groin, inner knees, inner ankle bones, and engage from the outer hip, outer knees, ankle bones. So you have inner and outer legs. Then from this strong dynamic position of the legs as we lift up, we're going to continue this lift and just observe here, keeping this tailbone region down, not tucking under. So we can, as I move my pelvis down at the back to a more neutral position, it allows the front to lift and all the pelvic content stays where it needs to. Okay? Arms by the sides, lengthening down through the fingertips. Shoulders comfortable, arm bones in the sockets. And feel this lifting up from the feet through the crown of the head. Drawing that chin back and in, back of skull lifting to the ceiling. And just closing your eyes, getting a sense of balance from the feet upwards. Again, connecting with your breath. Feeling the weight distributed evenly between the toe tips and the heel bones. Feeling the thighs fully connected and muscles switched on. Buttocks connected, but without clenching. Let the eyes soften and smile inwardly. Good. Couple more breaths here in your Tadasana, mountain pose. And then allowing the eyes to softly open, drawing the fingertips to the center of the chest. You have a choice, step or jump the legs apart. So we're looking for about 4 to 4.5 feet, or maybe the distance of one of your own legs if you're quite tall. Feel that you can press down and out through the feet and keep this action of inner and outer legs. Just pop your hands onto your pelvis to begin. So not waistline, pelvis. So find your Tadasana here. Feel the pressing down and out through the feet, the drawing in through the inner legs. Switched on here, switched on here, switched on here. Lifting up at the front, down at the back. So once we have our foundation set, we can then bring in the rest of the pose. So let's extend our arms out to the side walls. Take a look how you've positioned your arms. Check that your shoulders haven't risen to your earlobes. Relax them down. Take a couple of breaths in. Feel the spread through your fingers. Make yourself extend from center of chest to shoulders to elbow joints to fingertips. And breathe. Smile even. Feel yourself getting bigger from the inside out. Feel yourselves creating space. So Trikonasana, we are going to allow our left leg to turn inwards 15 degrees. So you rotate your leg bone into its socket. And we're going to turn our right foot a full 90 degrees, lining up the heel and instep. Now we want to keep the top and tail level here from base of spine to top of head. Okay. I'm just going to ask you to put your left hand on your lower back region to keep the length through the lower back. Remind yourself this needs to feel spacious and full, not collapsing inwards and dropping out. So draw it in. Let's take an extension over to the right as we press down into our left leg. Keep engaged from this left leg. This is the guru. And lengthen out into the right side. Press down into your right foot. And if you hyperextend through that front knee, just soften the knee joint a little. I like to shift the weight into the center of the heel bone. It usually just takes that lock off and allows the muscles to switch on and hold the joint firmly.
Keep extending. I'll bring in the back of your right hand on the inner calf and just press there to allow yourself to rotate your trunk forward. So left ribs move back, right ribs move forward, and we're creating space here, folks. So don't just slop and drop and ram the right leg bone into its socket. Feel you can extend outwards. Ta-da! Okay, so hand down. Just take a little look towards your shin bone. Line up your nose tip. Feel the head and neck is in line with your spine. Obviously, if you're not coming down to your calf muscle, you could be a little higher. Remember, you just need to adapt for the place that's right for you. Now, as you roll your left shoulder back, feel what's happening with that lower back region. Really feel that connection, and then extend the left arm up to the ceiling. And we're going to take our little focus point, our drishti point, to the back of the left thumb. So draw the chin in, pivot the head, and look up. Feel the front thighs fully connected. Feel the pressing down through the feet, pulling up through the soles. And then inhale, come up. Rotate your right leg forward. And just let your hands come down to rest on your outer thighs. So as you keep your arms out and lengthened, you will engage the stabilizer muscles within your shoulder region. Okay, they're very small muscles that hold everything in place. So we're working deep. So in time, your arms get a lot stronger, you get much more inner strength. But to begin with, it can be quite tiresome to keep your arms out. So let's extend the arms out again as we go to the left. So rotate your right leg in, 15. Turn out the left. Bring that heel bone in line with the instep. Top and tail aligned, tailbone down and in. Just taking your right hand, placing it on your lower back, feeling that the tailbone can move down and in. We're zipping up at the front here. Press down into Geary leg, now the right, into that little toe side of the foot. Roll this right thigh forward and back and extend to the left. So create the space, find your measure here. So we want to move the right ribs down, the left ribs out. And then place the hand down wherever it reaches. And turn your nose tip and gaze towards your left shin bone. Whilst you're doing this, as you press your left hand into your leg, move the right shoulder back. Then extend the right arm to the ceiling, hand in line with shoulder, palm to me. Draw the chin in and pivot the head and look up to the back of the right thumb. Not dropping the head off, keep the head in line with the spine. Contract the front thigh muscles. Press from the feet. Press into the back foot, pull yourself up, turn both feet forward. Soften the knees, step or jump the feet back into your Tadasana. A couple of quiet breaths here. Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Fingertips to chest, soften knees, step or jump a good leg distance apart, or 4 to 4.5 feet. And just bring your hands down here to this area that we're going to focus on, where our leg bones join into the socket. So the head of the femur into the socket. We want to switch these muscles on here. Feel the front thighs contracted. Okay, so imagine your pelvic bowl like a bowl of water. We don't want to spill out at the front or spill out at the back. We want to keep it steady and quiet as we move into these poses. And if there's movement, it's minimal movement, but it's supported movement. Okay, so hold your pelvic bowl. Rotate your left leg in 15 degrees. And I've just shifted my hips back to do that, but I'm going to put them back in line. And then I'm going to turn the right leg 90 degrees. Heel to instep again. So this time we're keeping our left leg straight. We're going to bend the right leg, keeping this right shoulder and hip aligned. So no leaning into the future or dragging back into the past. We're staying central in the moment. So take a breath in, switch on here, round the pelvis region, and then bend. Bend it, feel the movement, feel where your range is, feel what's happening, feel these muscles switching on. Keep the pelvis forward, top and tail, top and tail, top and tail. Your right knee may roll forward, that's fine. Just work on rolling that right thigh back and down, and the knee moves back to the little toe side of the foot. Then extend the left arm out and the right. Draw the chin in and turn the head to look over towards your right middle finger, drawing that left side of the jawbone down. And once you find your posture, then do your work. Feel the connection of your back foot, feel the connection of your back thigh, bend a little deeper. Don't lunge forward to do it. Draw that right buttock down and in. Turn the head to me, press through your guru left foot, pull yourself up, turn the right foot forward, and again bring your hands to your outer thighs. Take a couple of breaths. So we really want to feel some switching on action around this pelvis region, buttocks, sides of pelvis, around the abdominal region and those thighs. Okay, hands back into the originating position. Turn your right leg in 15, turn your left leg out a full 90, heel to instep. Keep the top and tail forward. Okay, so there'll be a tendency to want to swing your right hip forward and left and go like this. Turn forward to your range. Minimize the bent leg if you find you've not got the range yet, okay? Check how you function within this shape that we are creating. Fire up the back leg. Press down into the heel, fire up the front leg, and then bend. Keep the hips forward. Left shoulder in line with left hip, head level. Roll, learn to rotate this left leg bone in its socket. Drive from this right hip. Then extend the right arm out, then the left. Spread those fingers from chest to fingers, tips. Pivot the head, draw that right jawbone down. Look along the left arm to that middle finger. Then again, as you drive through your back leg, can you bend from the back of the left knee and go a little deeper? Turn the head to me, push into your right foot, draw from your right leg, pull yourself out, turn your feet forward. Bring the hands down to the outer thighs. Soften those knees, step or jump back into your Tadasana. So just take a quick look down, adjust the feet. Take a few moments quieting down with the breath. Back into mountain pose. Oh, I've left the heating on, folks. It's getting a little warm. Feel like doing hot yoga again. Okay. Fingertips to chest, soften the knees, step or jump wide. Line up the feet facing the wide edge of the mat to begin. Again, place the hands down, hold your pelvic bowl, switch on those legs, thighs, buttocks. Turn your left leg in 15 degrees, turn your right leg a full 90, heel to instep. So we're going to go into Pajvakonasana, or a variation of it, which is your extreme side angle pose. It comes from Warrior 2. So the setup's very similar to begin. So let's find that deep bend into our right leg. Driving from this left side here, keeping this hip open. Now we're just going to take a side bend towards our right thigh. I'm just going to place the elbow on the mid thigh. Okay, so we don't want to slap and drop. It's like you're working without your arms. Turn your body forward. Just take your right hand and press it on that inner. Just moving my foot forward, by the way, because you don't want your knee raising ahead of your ankle. Turn your body forward. Just press your inner arm into your leg. Sorry, the back of your arm into your inner leg. And roll your right ribs forward, your left ribs back. Lay the left arm along the side of the trunk. Now turn the palm upward, bring the arm up and over by the ear. So Urdhva Hastasana, style arm upward salute. Looking for that diagonal from the left heel, knee, hip, armpit, fingertips, and then maybe extending the other arm too to match, and maybe drawing the chin in and looking up towards the ceiling. Inhale, come up, turn the feet, allow the arms to rest. So remember, when you're coming out, it's tempting sometimes when the strength and your stamina is being tested, to collapse out. But don't do that. We have 3 components to our posture practice. We have the entry, we have the holding, and we have the exit. So if you work the bookends of the pose, the entry and the exit, that middle bit is being cultivated and doesn't necessarily become effortless, because it's always effortless effort. And you still require effort and strength, but it comes with a little bit more grace, and it looks like it's got more ease to it rather than struggling and straining. Okay, let's do the other side. Hands on your outer hips. Bring your right leg in 15, your left leg a full 90, heel to instep. Set it up from the feet upwards. Find your deep bend, just checking the position of your front knee so you're not going over. Take a small bend to the left. Let your elbow rest, don't collapse, and just do this work on rotating and just turn the right palm upwards, leave the right arm down the side of the body. Then we can extend this left arm and use this arm as a lever to work that knee back and really work on drawing this left side of the body forward. Take the right arm up and over and extend into those fingertips. Bend the leg a little deeper and then extend into both arms. If it's for you, turn the head and look up to the ceiling. Press into your back foot, pull yourself up, turn both feet forward. Now we're just going to take a little wide leg forward fold. So hold the crease of each elbow joint. Keep pressing down and out through the feet so you're connected up here. Lift those elbows up. Take a breath in, extend forward. Don't collapse the stomach to the ground or anterior tilt. Keep that little neutral pelvis position as we come all the way down to hang in. Shifting the weight forward into the toe tips as well as those heel bones. Keep those legs switched on, folks. Now take the hands to the crease at the top of the legs, lift the head, come up to halfway, fire up from the feet to the knees, to the thighs, to the hips. Keep your head level. Push and come to full standing. Now soften the knees, step or jump back into your Tadasana. So finding the position with the feet, drawing up through the legs, arms down by the sides of the body. Good. Okay, so coming down onto your mat now. So we're going to do a little sequence of downward dog, onto our hands and knees into tabletop, and we'll do a little bit of cat and cow, so Uttanasana and your cat pose. We'll have a little play around with that first before we move on. Okay, now your downward dog, I'd like you to do it from kneeling and not make it too big, so you don't have to adjust later. Okay, so it might be a little smaller version to what you're used to working in. Okay, so let's set it up by coming onto our hands and knees. So I've got my knees underneath my hips, I've got my hands underneath my shoulders. I'm going to turn the toes under, send the weight back, lift the hips and extend into your Adho Mukha Svanasana. Work as you would do, contracting the front thighs, drawing the arm bones into the sockets, spreading from thumb to little finger. Again, keeping the pelvis in neutral, not pushing front of pelvis to thighs and dropping the chest. Now roll your shoulders to your wrists and drop your knees back underneath your hips. And let the tops of the feet relax as we now go into an anterior tilt. As we lower the pelvis down at the front, lengthen from pubis to navel, from navel to sternum, lift the head, shoulders back and down, and lift the gaze to the ceiling. So again, no slopping or dropping into this. Even though I'm anterior tilting the pelvis, I am still controlling it and lifting up. I'm pressing through the feet, I'm pressing from my hands, I'm lifting the chest up and rolling the shoulders back.
So Tadasana, cow pose. Now moving into your cat. We're going to posterior tilt the pelvis, so move the tailbone, the sacrum area, away from the back of the skull and start to draw up into an arched position, letting the head follow in last, sucking up from that midsection. Pressing your spinal column to the ceiling. Keep pressing down through the hands, the shoulders and the arms don't move, nor do the feet. Now inhale, anterior tilt, connect from those out hips, engage the glutes as you lower the stomach, bring the chest through, shoulders back, pulling the head back, looking forward, then lifting the gaze to the ceiling. Or to that space in between the eyebrows. The third eye energy center. And again, posterior tilting, tailbone down and in, drawing up, 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 up. And then one more time, anterior tilting, not dropping everything out, keeping control. And then posterior tilting, arching up. Come to a nice neutral position without dropping through the shoulders. Turn the toes, hips to ceiling, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Alright, and then come down onto the knees. Sit up with a straight spine. Okay, folks? Now, for the next functional move that we're going to do, we'll call it Max Asana. You're going to use a block. Now you could use a book or an object, or maybe a pair of socks rolled up into a ball. I just want you to have something in between your knees. You don't want something too heavy, unless you're challenging yourself, because that will increase the intensity of the movement. But basically, let me show you what's going to happen. So you're going to form a sort of half cat back. So neither completely rounded, but we want to hollow out the spine here. So we will go into a posterior tilt, that's very important. So just watch and observe first. I'm going to take the block or object, place it in between my knees. Okay, this is coming off the floor. This is to keep your knees working together. Now, a lot of people will slop into the arms and drop all the weight into the wrist. So we don't want to do that. We want to push away from the floor, allow the shoulder blades to move away, depress from the back of the skull. And I'm going to turn my toes under, push the back to the ceiling, so just a little hollowing out, so not this. Watch my pelvis, posterior tilt. And then I'm going to suck up the knees and hold. Now what may happen is this, you'll get tired, so keep that pushing up action, keep the knees underneath the hips and squeeze the life out of that block. I haven't gone very high, lower the better. Chin can be drawn down and in. And just breathe there. And then you'll lower. Okay, so let's do this. Set it up with me. Onto your hands and knees. You don't have to have an object between your knees, but it will keep the alignment. So bring the object, or just keep your knees hip distance apart if you haven't got an object to hold. Press down through the hands, spread those fingers. Push away from the floor, my friends. Draw your shoulder blades away from the head. Turn those toes under. Create your little half cat back. Suck up from the abdominal region and then suck the knees off the floor by about an inch. Draw the chin in slightly and breathe. Don't let the pelvis release. Keep it tucked. Draw through the abdominal region and then lower. Whew, just have a little rest. Now, just kneel up for a moment and watch my feet. So you see how we've got this dorsiflex position? All we're going to change next, we're going to balance on one leg. So we have to fire up the leg that's going to stay as it is, because that's going to do more work. You'll feel your front thigh having a real joyful moment. And your foot position goes from here to here. That's all you're doing. You're only moving your foot. You're not trying to lift your foot up to your buttock.
Your knees shouldn't move because they've got an object between them. We want to keep our knees underneath our pelvis and our wrists underneath our shoulders, okay? So we'll do left, have a rest, come back up and do right. On the second attempt after that, we'll stay up unless you need to have a rest in between, you take that. Okay, so coming down onto the hands and knees, turning the toes under, get everything set up. Remember, you're like a building, you need your foundation. Little half cat back, switch on through the abdominal region, turn those toes under, suck at the block and hold. Now squeezing with your right leg, firing up your right thigh, plan to flex now your left toes. Back and just hold. Dorsiflex, toes under, lower the knees, hold. Okay, you get the gist? We're going to do the same on the left. So set it up, half cat back, pull up the knees, fire up your left leg, plan to flex through the right foot, hold. Should feel the joy happening on your left thigh. Toes under, lower. And again, just kneel up and have a rest. Whew. Okay, so one more time, coming down onto the hands. This time we'll do both sides together. Okay, so from here, folks, turn the toes under, half cat back, suck up the block, protract those shoulder blades, fire up your right leg, plan to flex through the left ankle joint. Toes turned under, hold it up. Breathe, let go of that tension, keep the body strong, the mind quiet. Fire up the left leg, point through the right toes, squeeze that block, dorsiflex, and lower. Well done, folks. Removing your equipment away from you. Well done. So we're going to take one more downward dog, just to lengthen all that out, give the legs a good all extension. So hands forward, you don't want your shoulders over your wrists here now, you want them back. Turn the toes under, allow the arms to settle into the sockets. Push down and forward through the hands, lift up and back, through to the feet, straighten the legs, push those heels back and down, relax the chin in. Remember, your back's very rounded in this pose, bend the legs, lengthen your spine, and then in time you'll have the space to lengthen out through those legs. Good, coming down onto the knees. We're going to take a soft passive child's pose now. So big toes together, knees wide, just walk your hands back, sit your buttocks to your heels, and we're just going to fold the arms and let the head just rest on the back of one hand. So not much work, just softening, breathing, letting go. Okay, lift the head, extend the spine and sit up. So now moving from into Falcon, plank. We're going to get a good setup in our plank position because again it's all determined by what's happening with this pelvis. You've got to think about the pelvis as your grand central station where the upper half meets the lower half meets the upper half. So whatever's going on here has a knock-on effect downwards and upwards. So think about this being your little power pack. This is all strong and stable. The legs and the arms are supporting it. Okay, so onto your hands and knees, into this tabletop. Let's line up the shoulders over the wrist, let's spread those fingers, let's draw those arm bones back into the sockets. And instead of being into this anterior sort of slopper drop type of position, or you may be stiff and under, try and find more of a neutral position, moving the tailbone away from the back of the skull. So instead of this, I'm lengthening. Take your left leg back, turn your toes under. Now remember, you've got to push away from the floor. Push your hands down into the floor and slightly out. So switch on more around the serratus anterior muscles. Push into the pad of your left foot, squeeze the thigh, and then we're going to take the right leg back and do exactly the same. So I should see a diagonal from your
out to ankles, out to knees, out to hips, out to shoulders, and then the next is your earlobe. So bring your head in line with the spine. Keep the gaze down at that between your hands. Move the tailbone away from the back of the head so the front of the pelvis lifts a little. Pelvic content in, thigh muscle strong. And then drop down onto the knees, sit back and sit up. Well done. So we're going to do that one more time from this leading with your right leg first. Onto your hands and knees, into tabletop, tailbone away from the back of the head. So this, here, instead of being all creased up, fills out. Press down and out through your hands, draw your arm bones into the sockets as the shoulder blades depress down towards the lower back. Extend your right leg out, turn your toes under, push your heel away, contract the front thigh. Then take the left leg and keep the gaze down. Press down and out through the hands and breathe, folks. Don't drop into the shoulders, push away. Lift up at the front of the pelvis, down at the back. Then onto the knees, sit back onto the heels, soft passive child's pose, release, let your arms relax. Okay, well done. And walking the hands back, sitting up with a nice straight spine. So now, Falakasana, plank, to low plank. So Adha Falakasana. And we're going to have our hands like this. I'll say drop onto your left elbow. So the left elbow goes where the hand was, then the right. We're going to try and keep our hands apart. We're going to set up our plank position. Really good functional position, do it well. And then we will be stepping back. So you will take your left hand back where the elbow joint is, then your right. Okay? Let's do this. Now, if you're like this hand doesn't come back into where the elbow is, and you push up from here, you've got less strength and stability, or less structural support. So make sure your hand goes quite quickly to its originating place. So, let's find our plank position. Press down, neutral pelvis, left leg back, right leg back, turn the toes under, fire up the thighs. Take a few breaths. Drop onto the left elbow, then the right, hands apart, press down and out through the elbow joints, keep shoulders stacked, draw your chin in, and again feel that there's a connection from your feet to your fingertips. Tailbone moving away from the back of the head, chin drawing back and in. If you need a little rest, you could drop your knees, right, but don't drop your pelvis. Keep it in this neutral position. Protract through the shoulder blades. Now when you're ready, push up on your left hand, then your right. Push back to down dog. Come down onto your knees. Let's try that with the right leg leading. So when you're ready, folks, neutral pelvis, push down and out through the hands, right leg back, turn toes under, left leg hold. Thighs fired up, let the breath flow. Come down onto the right elbow, then the left, hold. Push through the feet, contract through the thighs. Bring those hips in line with your shoulders. Draw that chin in. Back of skull faces ceiling. Press down through your fingers, from thumb to little. Now push up on your left, then your right, then your left, hips to ceiling, down dog. And then take a soft passive child's pose, release. Sit back into the heels, rest your head down. Let those arms relax, let the shoulders soften. Let the gut be soft in between the thighs. Inhale, lift the head and come up. Okay, so you probably know what's coming next if you've ever done a session with me. So now we're going to walk the plank. So from full plank, half plank, so left elbow, left hand, right hand, coming back on the left, going down on the right, coming up on the right, down on the left. We're probably going to try for 3 sets. If you get tired or you start to lose your form, give it up, folks. Just have a breather, have a rest, and you can build on that. Okay. So, coming into your plank, set it up. Come down onto your left elbow, then your right. Come up on the left and the right. Go down on the right, then the left. Come up on the right, then the left. Down on the left, don't lose your form, then the right. Come up on the left, then the right. Down on the right, then the left. Come up on the right, then the left. One more set. Down on the left and the right. Keep it firm. Up on the left and the right. Down on the right, then the left. Up on the right, then the left. Can we give us a push? Sit down, dog. And down onto the knees. Bottom to heels. Walk your hands back. Take your hands to your feet. Let your shoulders round. Bring your head down and in. Woo! Quiet it down, folks. Lifting the head, extending the spine, and coming all the way up to seated. Well done. We haven't finished yet. All right, we're going to spin out the legs in front of us. If you have a block, it's advisable that you could probably sit on something just to give you a little bit of height. We're going to sit in our easy cross-leg position. Take your natural cross of the legs, crossing at the shin bones, being central on your support, working the feet to the edges of the mat. If you find that the skin or your fabric of your clothing is getting in the way, just get your fingers in there, move it out. Dorsiflex the feet to provide some support to the outer legs, and plus it keeps me switched on from here to here. Draw the flesh of the buttocks back, and we've all got it to draw back, folks. Draw back rather than out. You don't want to collapse in the middle. Hold on to the knees and sit up tall. If you find that your pelvis is quite low and your knees really high, then maybe sit on an extra block. The main thing is we want to try and sit central with a straight spine. Hands to knees, draw the chin in. So we're going to do Pavrita Sukhasana to begin, revolving seated easy cross leg pose. So take your left hand behind you, externally rotate the arm bone, bring your right hand to your outer left knee. Now it's tempting to pull that leg up. Don't do that. Keep the knee down. Now we want to keep the pelvis quiet here, folks, and rotate from these side abdominal muscles here. Just moving from the ribs upwards. The base is staying quite quiet. It'll want to move, but just resist without being aggressive. So we take a lengthening breath in, head is forward. And as you exhale, start your rotation from the middle. Keep your head forward. Do the work yourself. Switch on your own muscles. Then you can use the right hand as it presses against the left leg to help you turn a little deeper. Keep your pelvis quiet, so feel and observe what's happening. Move that left hand back. My head is still forward. And I'm going to start to rotate more through the middle, the thoracic spine upwards. Move the left hand further back, the left shoulder back. Now my head is wanting to turn, so I'm going to pivot the head, turn the eyes into the corners, draw the right side of my jawbone down, and breathe. Checking into my left shoulder, making sure it's not popping up by my ear, so I need to soften my left elbow a little. Now pivot the head forward, unravel the spine, keeping the height. Oh, so I could feel it all here. How joyful was that? So again, keep the height, remember your exit. Let's do the right side. So take the right arm, externally rotate, fingertips to ground, left hand over to right knee, gazing forward. Take a breath in. Lengthen, don't poke out, and rotate. Use the side abdominal muscles first. Then use some support with your left hand, right hand. Roll the shoulder back more. Now I suffer a little bit of tightness usually on my right side of trunk around the serratus anterior area, but I am
right side dominant, so that's probably why. Keep the pelvis quiet, turn some more. So observe these fluctuations within yourself, these little imbalances. Once you've turned to your measure, pivot the head, draw that left jawbone down, gaze towards the right side, turning your eyes into the corners, moving that right hand a little bit further back. So your right shoulder blade is protracting in, retracting in, your left shoulder blade is protracting away from the center line of the spine. Still stay central on your buttocks, use your back hand to support and lift, not drop and collapse. Pivot your head forward, release with height. Take a couple of releasing breaths. Now we're just going to switch the cross of your legs, because we'll always go to our familiar side. So now I'm changing and I'm going right leg in first, left leg on top, working the feet to the edge of the mat. So don't pull your feet, it's very tempting to do this, and drop your knees down. Think of fitting yourself into a little cube. Your knees are at the front, your backside is sat on that back portion of the cube. Hold the knees. Relax your shoulders. Take a few breaths. Let the knees stay down. Feel the connection from these outer buttocks and hips. Now extend the arms out, Tadasana arms, interlock fingers well. Turn the palms away, connect the little fingers and thumbs, press the hands to the wall in front of you. Draw that chin in. Now feel your spine long and strong. Don't distort the spinal column or the pelvis as we take our arms to the ceiling. So move slowly with intention and you'll feel what's happening. Feel the weight through the buttocks, stay central. Feel you're in neutral pelvis position. Feel the front ribs stay quiet, down and in. Back, ribs and thoracic spine switched on, head level. So if you need to work more with your arms out here, then do it. Some of you may have more of a bend to the arms. But we don't want to let the arms fly out. We want to engage here, the serratus anterior, that are a set of muscles that are designed to lift the arms forward and up. Release your arms halfway down, palms to face you. Slide the hands, the fingers, change the interlock. Again, push palms away. Now work on the grip, the strength of your fingers. Breath in, lift, keeping control of your spinal column, your pelvis. Extending upwards, shoulder blades deep, pressing downwards. Wrapping in through the shoulder blade region. Drawing your arms all the way down without collapsing, letting the hands rest on the knee. Okay, bring the knees together, extend the legs out in front, and we're just going to move off any support now. Taking your belt, and you can have your block nearby if it's needed. So extending the legs out in front of us, placing the hands by our outer hips, sitting up into our Tadasana, and again making sure we're on the base of our pelvis with this connection front and back of body at the lower spine, front and back of body at the thoracic spine, and into the top portion of your back. Spread the toes, contract the front thigh muscles. If you're like me with long arms, soften the elbows and move them back and in. So from our Tadasana, seated staff, we will be moving into Shasana, head to knee pose. Let's bend our left leg, just take hold behind the back of the knee and draw the knee towards your chest. Now this foot position depends on where you're at. So if your knee's quite high, give yourself a bit more space, maybe take your foot more towards your inner calf and inner knee as opposed to the inner thigh.
The pelvis we want to stay quiet. So as we fold that leg in, I'm now going to let the leg move out to the side, bring the sole of the foot to the inner thigh and push against. Just checking here, because what usually happens with this pose, people think, I know what I'll do, I'll make my leg fit. But they move the pelvis, so we want that pelvis to stay quiet. So I'm working here on moving this left buttock in, left knee down and away, without pushing my right leg out of the way. So find your range. If your left knee is quite high, it needs a bit of support, take a block or a blanket or a cushion, just place it under the shin bone. Okay, if it's comfortable to rest down, let that be. Take your belt. Some of you may have to lasso your foot. Place it around the pad of the foot, that's the fleshy part beneath the toes, and lengthen upwards. So although the belt can give you some assistance here instead of this, feel you can actually do the work yourself and then use your equipment to hold and support. Try not to push down through your right calf. See how I'm doing it here and lifting my heel off the mat. That's just collapsing my knee joint. So soften the knee joint, contract the right thigh muscle and press the pad of the big toe into the belt. Press the back of the heel bone down. Take a breath in. Now we're going to move from the hips and come forward and pause. Now if at this stage you've already started to collapse, I want you guys to carry on working here without going any further. Look at your shoulders. Are they racing ahead of you? Can we draw the shoulders back? Take a breath in. Those that are going for the next breath, lift up, move forward and pause. Now if you get a big bend to your arms, that's a sign to walk your hands along the belt, but without becoming tight or tense. Spacious in your movement. Now there's a lifting up from the pubis to the navel, from the ribs to the sternum. Okay, the back ribs are moving in, not pushing out. If I'm here, I can't breathe, so lift up and lengthen. Move again on that next breath. If you're holding your foot, take your left hand first. Feel the left side working, the left knee, the left buttock. Then extend the right hand on top. Lift up and lengthen. Move the back ribs in. And then quietly drawing yourself down to your full measure. So tummy to thigh, chest to thigh maybe, head drawn down and in. And then everybody looking towards the extended right leg, either drishti point to thigh, knee or shin bone. There's a tendency to switch off once you get hold of the foot and collapse back. So no, my friends, lift up and lengthen. Work as if you haven't got your hands moving, holding your foot. Inhale, take the belt, sit up tall, lengthen. Place the belt to one side, bring your knee in nice and safely. Work from the hip to the knee to the ankle. Extend that leg away. Coming back into your Tadasana. Right leg. Bend, fold it in, rotate out from the hip, place the foot on the inner thigh and check, right buttock in. I like to support my outer right leg, turning the right ribs forward, the left ribs moving back, dorsiflexing through this left foot, thigh switched on. Take the belt around the pad of the foot. So don't be tempted as well, I see a lot of this. Pulling and tugging. You know, and what I look for in my students is not the perfect posture. It's how people are actually moving within the pose and how they are holding themselves and what their attitude is like. And you can tell a lot by the way people hold equipment, hold the breath, screw up the faces. The signals are all there. Body language is a great thing. So inhale, sit up tall, lengthen, hinge forward and pause. Now if you've started to collapse, just work here, keeping that length, and maybe draw the chin down and in and look to the thigh, knee or shin bone. If you're going to continue a little further, look beyond your foot, so it's head to knee and beyond. Take a breath in, lift and lengthen. Exhale, fold and deepen. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, fold and deepen. Now you might find, like with me on this side, I haven't got the same sort of range, so I have to still work with that. Not try and force myself to match. If I'm holding my foot again, it's right side first, then left. Lift up and lengthen, elbows out, and extend forward and down. So even though there's a natural rounding to the back, I'm not going into balloon back. I'm lifting up and forward. So many people just collapse back and sit it out. Okay, so keep that lifting and lengthening. If you want to extend the arms forward, do so. So keep some activity within the pose. Don't just slop and drop, my friends. Taking the belt around the pad of the foot. Inhale, lift the head, sit up tall, straight back. Take the belt to one side. Inwardly rotate your right leg bone, extend it out. And again, just moving your equipment as you come back to your Tadasana. So full Paschimottanasana. So when I say about don't relax in a pose, and I do see a lot of people doing that, it depends what your intention is within your practice. I'm from a very traditional background where we work on, those 4 key areas of strength, stability, stamina and suppleness. So I'm keeping the muscles switched on, I'm keeping the joints supported and stable as I work into my practice. There are other forms of movement practice, and I do them too, somatic moves, your yin style yoga, your restorative yoga, where we support ourselves with equipment and then we can relax. So for these sessions, unless I'm teaching otherwise, this is what I'm asking you to do to protect yourself and build this integral strength and stability so you can move about your day and be strong. You can bend over in the garden and get up without being compromised. You can get in and out of bed. You can get up from the floor. Okay? Keep it joyful. Okay, last posture before we go into our Shavasana. Take the belt around the pads of both feet. Sit up tall. So check in. Where is your starting point? Is it here? Is this your range? At this, you're not going any further? Perfectly fine. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Contract those front thighs. Keep the heels down. Soften the knee joints. And breathe. Take a breath in, moving from the back ribs. Hinge forward and pause. Again, feel this filling out through this lower back region. Move a little further. This is your measure. Just draw the gaze to the shin, knees, or thighs. If you know you've got a little bit more range and function, take a breath in. Lengthen, come forward and pause. So the first part you should feel connecting is your tummy to your thighs, not your head to your shin. Take a breath in and move forward. So I'm driving from this back body here, lifting my stomach up and in, coming forward. If you're holding the feet, again, hold, but soften the elbows out. Keep the gaze beyond your toes and draw your head in. And notice, once your head goes down, do you just collapse back? Can you extend your right hand beyond your feet and lengthen? Can you extend your left hand beyond your feet and lengthen? And can you keep those thighs super switched on and the front ribs moving forward? So the skin at the front of the body moving forward and up, skin at the back of the body moving back and down. Toes coming towards your head, spreading them. Take the belt. Inhale, lift the head first. Come up to full seated and release. Back into your Tadasana. Beautiful. Okay, so moving your equipment now out of the way and preparing yourself for your relaxation. So I'm going to drop the lights a little. We're going to lay ourselves out onto the mat where you can let your little toes roll out, pull the flesh at the thighs from underneath you. I like to roll them up and out. As you come back, lift the buttocks up, smooth the butt cheeks under, space through those shoulder blades. Take your hands by your sides, palms up, let your arm bones relax into the sockets and onto the floor, and draw your chin in and place the back of the head on the floor. And then from here, just allow your eyes to close.
I'm not going to dip the lights because I'm in my lounge. I'm thinking I'm in session, which is good. I'm quite relaxed and just doing my thing. So as you close your eyes, folks, just take a few moments here. Allow the legs to feel heavy. Let the toes and the ankle joints soften. Relaxing the thigh muscles now and the knee joints. And relaxing through the whole of the stomach region, right through to that lower back. Allowing the sacrum bone to release to the ground. Breathe into the back of the rib cage. Feel the releasing. Breathe into that space between the shoulder blades and let the arm bones relax into the ground. Feel the space from the navel to the sternum bone, all the way up to the neck. And relax both sides of the body away from the sternum. Let the fingers curl naturally, palms up. Feel a softness to the inner elbow. A small space between the arms and the trunk for the air to circulate. Taking a moment to swallow and release the throat and allowing the tongue to sit quietly in the base. A space between the top teeth and the bottom teeth. Allow the eyeballs to gently rest back into the sockets and the brain to take a comfortable position towards the back of the skull. So as you let your body passively release, allow the mind to quieten down. So the thoughts and the images are no longer something that you want to attach to. You can take a detached approach as you just observe them, like watching them on a movie screen. And then just bring your full awareness onto your breath. Take your attention to that space between the top lip and the nostrils. And just observe the inhalation coming in, the cool air, and the warm air as you exhale out. So giving yourselves this precious time to surrender, to reset everything, and deepen into your Shavasana, letting go, yet being present. Good. Now when you feel comfortable, let your eyes softly open. Let your gaze be upwards. Just take a moment to reflect on the space and this strength that you've created physically and mentally. Allow the hands to rest on the lower stomach, elbows wide. And then bend the legs, take the feet to the edges of the mat and let the inner knees rest towards one another. Feeling this pressing down action through your sacrum, and draw the chin down and in. Stepping your right foot to your left leg and just swinging yourself over onto your right side, drawing the knees up into the fetal position, bringing your left arm across and just allowing the right side of your body to release to the ground. And then when you feel ready, drawing yourself up to your seated finish, sitting in a position that feels comfortable for you, where you can sit with a reasonably straight spine. Bring your hands into your namaste. Draw the chin back and in, lower the gaze to the fingertips, close your eyes. Take a few breaths. Let your practice be sealed with your namaste. Allow your intention to be set for the rest of your day, choosing something that is positive, uplifting, and will serve you well. Bowing the head a little further, sealing the practice fully, having a moment of appreciation and gratitude for yourself, for others, and for your environment. Then allow the eyes to softly open, release the hands, and draw the head level. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.